It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, the heat is on. Heat is on here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, my special guest, Anthony Gregory from the Independent Institute, writing a lot about freedom and why we, I don't know, are we advancing towards that or not? We're starting to talk about China, and certainly the economic engine is there. And I was watching football last night, and I paid attention on 60 Minutes. They had a thing about Brazil, and Brazil's like, I remember when they were going down, they had like now 1,000, 10,000% inflate. It was something stupid. I mean, their currency, they were done. And all of a sudden they come in, and, we the right place. And I tell you, one of the things that they made a big point of, we had never been at war. We don't have that war thing going on. We don't have all those expenses. That's not a problem here. So they got the Olympics in, was it 14 or 16, and they got the World Cup soccer going there, and they're just having a good old time. Well, is there a model there? Is there, because they have a bigger economy than all of Central South America put together. So this is kind of what we're dealing with here, even in this hemisphere. Now we have China, and I'm just wondering what role the United States is going to play, and it doesn't look like it's going to be very good. But what is it that made us so great, and what is it that made us fall from our greatness? And that's a perfect question for Anthony Gregory. What was it, man?
Well, it was the relative degree of freedom, certainly economic freedom. In 19th century America, there's a lot of caveats to this, but this was a country where you could come. Immigration helped, but it was easy for immigrants to come and start a business without being taxed of all their earnings, without every industry being run by guilds and other monopolies. The just relative free enterprise, I'd say, is the main reason. It's also, unfortunately, if there's any downside to capitalism, it's that it produces more wealth for the state. And so this is also why our state has become the biggest on earth, because it had the biggest pie to steal from. So there's it's kind of ironic, but by having lighter chains, we produce more for our masters. And
that was a good point. One of our speakers at the summit was Stefan Molyneux from Toronto. And what he had to say in some of his videos and so on, and he's going, look, if you have a government and it provides, pretty much hands-off, go make money and be free kind of thing, of course you're going to create this enormous economic engine that even at a small percentage goes to some kind of governing class. You're going to make them very powerful by all the money you produced for them. So you're kind of a victim of your own success. And I'm going, all right, so can we have this kind of success without a government or no government or low government? I mean, is there such a government that doesn't eventually rise up and swallow us whole? Is that even possible?
Well, I think it's possible for the government not to swallow us whole, but it's not possible for the government to be on balance a good thing. It's always evil, and it's always destructive, but it's possible for us to overcome that and not become dominated by it if the people are philosophically determined to keep the state in check. Of course, I think if we didn't have a government, if we didn't have a state, it would be much, much better. We'd have much more wealth. All of these problems that the left somewhat legitimately jumps on in saying we need the government to solve poverty, we need the government to help with health care, or the education of our kids is a disaster. I think that almost all of this stuff wouldn't even be an issue if it weren't for the government being involved. The economy would be so much stronger. It would be. I truly. I don't want to sound like a utopian. It's not utopian, but
it's better.
If we had a true free market, we'd all be so much richer. It's kind of infuriating to think of that opportunity cost of having this big government.
Well,
sure, it's possible.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about what role Ron Paul is going to play in this subcommittee, because as I understand it, he really there's an obligation for Ben Bernanke to appear before this committee, I don't know, once a couple times a quarter or a month or something. I mean, so this is going to be a really big show. You don't want to get OD'd on it anyway. So you have them, they're coming on in. Well, what happened was we got Ben Bernanke out there the day after the election. The American people have spoken. We don't want any more, or whatever the heck it was. And then here comes the Federal Reserve. The next day, we're going to print us a bunch more money. Here come the money. And then he makes it clear that if I need to do it again and again and again, I'm going to keep doing it. Well, that's just guaranteed. I'm looking for that and the food thing. When they start controlling, you're being able to produce food, and oh my goodness, I might want to sell some extra. Oh, heck no. And I'm going, wow, they control not only the money system of legal tender laws that they say you have to use. Well, if you want to get off grid and you deal in something as fundamental as food, heck no. If that isn't the sign of a totalitarian goose-stepping, regime, I don't know what the heck is. So I'm looking at what role do you think Ron's going to be able to play, Dr. Paul? I can't stand calling him congressman. It's just so demeaning, in my opinion. But yeah. So Dr. Paul would have the opportunity to have him up there, and he's going to teach us something. What's he going to teach us?
Well, I think that in the end, this is a great thing, but it is mostly valuable for the educational purpose of exposing even further the degeneracy of the Fed. I think that he has already done a lot. And a lot of his supporters and a lot of the libertarians and free marketers have finally made the Fed not a fringe issue. It's finally an issue people in the public talk about. It's an issue where mainstream opinion is suspicious of the Fed at last after nearly a century. And I think that it'll just be more of that good done. I don't think that we're going to see the Fed be brought down because the Fed is such a central element to the modern U.S. government. And I don't think that we're going to see it really end until either the laws of economics finally, kind of...
Oh, let me give you. I'll give you a heads up on this. Here's a deal that we've been working on. You know about Max Kaiser's and Buy Silver and Silver Bullet and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. What we've done is we've created a website, walletvoting.com, orgnet, that kind of thing, and we're working with a lot of the different freedom organizations, and websites I'm sure you're familiar with. And what we're doing is we're going, you know what? How would you get a barter system in place for people educated about it? Because you got like the 1792 Coin Act that, defines what a dollar is. It's 0.77 ounces of silver. That's $1. Well, guess what? $1 is worth like a lot more than $1 now. So what we did is we have an Excel spreadsheet we put up on Freedom's Phoenix Friday, I think, and you can download it. And it just takes spot silver and it puts what the silver content is of these older coins, dimes, nickels, pennies. I didn't know. There's like 0.6 of the amount of silver in a nickel than there is in an old dime, in the war nickels. And I go, wow, man, that's a better deal. I'm going to buy me more nickels. But the thing is that we have actual silver minted United States got, Eisenhower on it and Kennedy and, U.S. minted coins that have a certain silver content. So what we did is a friend at the Freedom Summit came in and he said, I want to explain this to you, Anthony. You'll love this. This is good. He comes up, it's Saturday night, we're all partying and so on, and he says, I was at the gun show at Crossroads of the West here, and there was a guy that was given discounts if you paid in silver for ammunition. So I'm going, silver for bullets. Okay, silver bullet, I'm with you. We're starting to think about, we're brainstorming, we're up there, partying and so on, and we're going, okay, now how will we do this? Well, if we go to all the gun vendors, which are coming back in the middle of January to Tucson and then the Phoenix the following week, we go to all the vendors down in Tucson, and we give them this chart, and we say, look, this is how much in junk. So we'll all come to all you guys that will take silver. We're going to come buy all our goodies from you. Now, which one of y'all is it going to be? Then the mind starts racing of all the things that we can do with that and educating the people and making an activist thing out of it. When we come back, I'll share the rest of this with you real quick because you're going to like it. We'll be right back here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock and Anthony Gregory.